Really?
And Larry, I went to Chicago in '87 to see Larry, and this guy came on stage called Jim Rohn, and I thought, I don't want to hear this guy, I want to hear Larry. I didn't realize, it took me a long time to understand that Larry was taught by Jim. Just I didn't get it to start with.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Well, that's cool because Larry's a good friend as well.
yeah, I love Larry. He's so awesome. His Millionaire tapes is really what
Oh,
introduced me to everything. I got recruited into Herbalife on April the 10th, '87, and my sponsor said, "You got to listen to these tapes." And that's how, and I did. I did what I was told to do. That's how it all started. Yeah, April the 10th, '87. Yeah.
wow. Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I got to sit in the room with Jim Rohn every single month for the best part of 4 years. Every single month with Jim Rohn, and I didn't really back then appreciate who he was. I didn't get it. I just kept thinking Larry Thompson, and I didn't get the fact that Jim was the guy. Yeah, it took me a few more years to understand that Jim was the guy.
Well, that's very cool.
Just so you know, Sean, here,
Yep.
you see up here in the corner? Oh, no, I'm pointing up here. I don't know. Sorry, let me do it here.
Yep.
This is my English Channel swim. So I don't know if you can see. This is the first one. That's it there.
Oh, wow. And so that's the tide, that S.
Yeah. That is it. So when we finished, he actually gave me the printout of the actual swim, and these here are some photos of me in it. But the swim is marked out there.
So you know that, Paul. So you know that picture that we always say entrepreneurship is from here to here, but really the way it is like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
the perfect. Okay, so we'll definitely.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find somebody here. Here we go.
No problem.
I'm going to admit kind of my grand liaison real quick. I just want to introduce you to her. Hey, Rhonda.
Good morning.
Hey, Rhonda, let me introduce you to Paul before we crank everybody in here.
Yay. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Rhonda. How are you? Yeah. What was it my friend did this morning?
Say that again?
Did you ask me to be friends on Facebook this morning? And I think it was you.
Not that I know if that might have been a few days ago.
Yeah. Well, I think I accepted it this morning. I think put it like that because there was so many suddenly came in. I thought, who are all these people?
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably all of Sean's following, all of us.
Yeah. Fabulous. Yeah. And where are you?
I'm in East Texas.
East Texas. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from Sean.
Yeah.
More east. Slightly north from you, maybe Sean, maybe a little south.
Yeah. I'm going to let everybody in, so you guys keep chatting.
I had a fabulous time in Austin, Texas in 2002. Amazing time there. Went to a barbecue and visited the Capitol building in Austin. It's amazing place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say 6th Street, Austin was the most fabulous place I've ever been to. It was just amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So cool. There's a bar and there's this guy, really big black guy playing Blueberry Hill on the piano. And I've never forgot. I can still hear him singing it now. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. I was entranced by it.
6th Street is an interesting place in Austin. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're with us today. How exciting. I was telling my husband about your story last night and a couple of other friends too. Mm-hmm. So I'm ready to hear all that you have for us. This is going to be fabulous this morning.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to telling it. Yeah. I should be guided by Sean because I haven't done one of these before. So it's, my hands are shaking.
Well,
we will figure it
welcome.
out. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It's great to have everybody here. It is July. I don't even know what day it is. July 30th, I think. July 30th. It is episode 525. We've got a very special guest here today. And you guys know me. I like to have a little fun. So in the honor of our English guest, I'm just going to play a little bit of music here real quick. It's good to have you all here. Hey, everybody. Good morning. My name is Sean Murphy, along with Paul Hopfensperger. It's great.
Morning.
It's great to have you here. Hey, listen, everybody. Hey, do me a favor. As you come in, type in the chat, and just tell us what country you're zooming in from this morning. We've got people from all around the world. Let's see. We got Serbia. We got USA. We got Germany, England, USA, Canada, Germany, USA. We got everybody from around the world. England, some more England there. And if you heard Paul having a chat with Rhonda just a little bit, you heard he might have had just a wee bit of an accent that you recognize. Panama, the country of Panama. Great to have you here, Kayla. And we got Miami, which is its own country as well. Today we're going to have a conversation a little bit about mindset, but Paul and I are just going to have a little bit of a conversation about determination. India is in the house. Divyanshu, great to have you here, brother. We're going to have a little conversation about mindset. Paul has done something that at the time he did it, less than 900 people in the world had ever done it. And that's a solo crossing of the English Channel. Then he just, sometimes we're gluttons for joy, for determination, and he went and did it again. And that number went from 800 in the high 70s, I think, down to 87. The second time he did it. 87 people, the 87th person on the planet to swim the English Channel twice. Why? Why would somebody do that? What was the determination? Well, Paul, it's great to have you here this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done and some of the courage it took and the frustration you got through. So good morning, brother. Good to have you here.
Yeah, good morning, Sean, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's a real honor. Thank you.
It's a privilege to have you. And so the English Channel, and for folks that are with you, here's what I'd like everybody to do. Paul, is there a hashtag? Would it be Hoffe? Hashtag Hoffe? Would that be a good hashtag for you?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Hoffe. Hashtag Hoffe. Yeah.
And that's the website as well, Hoffe.com. Is that correct?
Is this my swimming one or?
Yeah, or whichever one you want them to go to as they're coming in this morning.
Yeah, if you want to look at all the swimming stuff, it's hoffeswims.com. Hoffeswims.com. And my main website, which is under redevelopment again, is paulhopfensperger.com. There's not much on there at the moment because I'm redoing it at the moment. So
here's what I want you to do. I want you to put it in speaker view, everybody, and I want you to go ahead and lean up against the screen, right? Well, not too close against the screen, but see if you can get yourself in a selfie with them. See if you get yourself in a selfie with them, and hashtag them out on your social media. And I'd love for you to, yes, Hoffy, that's it, Alicia. Hashtag Hoffe, and his name is right there behind me. If you put me on the main screen, you'll see Paul's name right there. You can hashtag that as well. And we want to drive some traffic to him. We want to get to know him. Do you have Instagram, Paul?
I do, yeah. It's Paul Hopfensperger.
Okay, so at Paul Hopfensperger, so there you go. And that's the name right behind me, back of my head there. So yeah. Hashtag him, follow up. Go ahead, Paul.
I say Twitter is P Hopfensperger on Twitter. Just
okay.
P Hopfensperger, yeah, on Twitter.
For us, that makes sense, but this is, some of the kids are going, what's Twitter? So, Paul, let's talk a little bit about determination. And first, let's start off with what it felt like once you got out of the channel the first time. You stood on the other side, right? What did that exhilaration feel like for you?
It was the most incredible feeling getting out of the channel, because around about 300 to 400 meters before we arrived, it seemed as though we were a very long way away from there. And on the boat, you have a support boat going with you, and on the boat, they're all saying to me, "Go, go, go, go! You're there." And I was still swimming away, and I didn't know what they were saying to me. So I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" You said, "Go, go! You're there! You're there!" And all of a sudden, and I will never forget this. All of a sudden, this little finger, touch the sand on the bottom as I was swimming. And I thought, oh my God, I've done it. I've done it. And I put my feet down, stood up and walked ashore. And I was about to burst into tears with delight, excitement. I was so pleased. And all these French people came running down from the beach. And I have no idea what they were saying to me. They were taking photos and everything. And I was so shocked by them coming down that I couldn't cry. I was trying to cry because I was so happy to cry. And I couldn't cry because I thought, what are these? They're click, 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 click. And I thought, what's going on here? You know? So it was an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Sounds like a network marketing event. So let's go back. So the exhilaration of getting out. Now, that part seems easy to have. The part that wasn't easy to have is all of the days and the years and the hours that got you to that, right? I think it was Kevin Eastman in our conversation this past weekend in Kyle's Inner Circle where he said, every day counts on the last day.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Swimming. You were how old? 4 years old when you started your first swim?
Yeah, well, my mum took me to the old, it's gone now, an old outdoor swimming pool when I was just over about 4.5. And she entered me into this race. And it was the boys' one width freestyle. And it was so exciting. And I can still do it there. And I'm writing a book about it at the moment. And that's a key part was that when I got there, there's these huge silver trophies there. And some of these trophies dated back to 1926, solid silver trophies. And we had, in England, we have a member of parliament, it's like a senator or a congressman, you know, there's a member of parliament was there to present these trophies. And so I went up to him and I said, which is the trophy, you know, for the boys' one width freestyle, one of these big silver trophies. And he laughed and he said, no, there's no trophy for that. He said, but he said, if you keep on swimming, he said, one day you will win a trophy. And I thought, oh, well, I'll have to make do with the gold medal then. And so when it came to our event, not forgetting I've never swum before, but I was just determined to win, you know, the gold medal. I was going to win this gold medal. And when it came to our event, they said, get in the pool. And we had to get in the pool and we had to hold on to the side. And they said, take your marks and go. And I was gone. I was off to certain victory in this pool. And I sped across the pool and I came last. And that wasn't in my plan. You know, I had not planned to come last, but it motivated me so much to make sure that I win a trophy. It motivated me so much that I swam and swam and swam year after year after year until at age 10, I won my first trophy. And yes, and I was the champion. And you know, 6 years. It took me 6 years, and that was the start of it all. Yeah.
So, the determination of coming in last to winning a trophy 6 years later. When you won the trophy, did it matter it took 6 years?
No, not at the time. No, because you know, life is timeless. When you're young, that's a famous song from the Jam. That is, life is timeless when you're young. Because you don't realise at 6 years. I just knew I wanted to win this trophy, and that was the first opportunity I had to win it. Yeah.
So fast forwarding. So did you continue to swim in school in secondary, and did you do any university swimming?
Yeah, well, what happened was, as I've been putting my book together, I've noticed that the next thing I did was, having won one trophy. This was for my town. I then wanted to win the county. In England, you know, for those of you who are not in England, we have counties. Our counties are like your states. You know, so a county, we don't have state, we have counties. And so the next thing was to win a county title. So eventually, I became county champion at 100 freestyle, 100 backstroke, and county record holder. Won those, ticked those off, and then I became Suffolk County schools champion at all the events. And then I kept going, you know, kept ticking these goals off my list as I went through them, until eventually, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute, I met a guy called Mike Reed.
Well, and that was going to be the part that so he walks in to a classroom into a room that you happen to be sitting in, and he says something that inspired you. He gave himself a title. He recognized himself with a title that
Yeah.
you were kind of like, what's that about? And what was that?
Yep. So he came to present our trophies, and I had never heard of this guy. His name is Mike Reed, and he gave himself a title, and he said, "My name is Mike Reed, and I'm King of the Channel." And I said to my best friend Nigel, I said, what's King of the Channel? And we said, what? Yeah, what is King of the Channel? And he said, I've swum the English Channel 19 times. And we went, wow, swam the English Channel. And now I'm someone who's actually, my father's European, so he was European, and we used to go backwards and forwards on these ferries from England to France every single year. And I thought, he swam across there 19 times. And I thought, I want to do that. That's the next goal. That's the next goal. And that's how we started it. Yeah.
Wow.
Age 17 I was then, age 17.
And how long from then till you dipped your toe in the water? Was it 7 years? No.
No. So what happened was, having left that meeting, my friend Nigel said, yeah, we need to swim the channel. How are we going to swim the channel? Now, this was in 1980. There was no internet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was 1980. There was no internet. There was no mobile phones. There was nothing. And so we thought, the only thing we had was something called directory inquiries. So I phoned up directory inquiries and said, can you give me the telephone number for the Channel Swimming Association, which is where he said he came from. And we said, I'm sorry, we have no number for that. You know, that's not something we recognize. And so, so that was it. So we didn't know where to go from there. You know, being 17 years old, we didn't know where to go from there. And so it wasn't until so this was 1980, and then in 2006. So we're talking about then 26 years later that we saw a guy called David Walliams. I don't know if anyone on there knows who David Walliams is. He's a great guy. He's yeah, you lady that does. Yeah, he actually decided to swim the channel, and I sat upstairs right from where we are now, and I sat up there and I watched this 1 hour documentary of how he went from where he was in his life to swimming the channel, and my wife was downstairs here cooking our evening meal. And she had just become the mayor of Bury St Edmunds. And normally when you become a mayor in England, you raise money for charity. And so I came downstairs and I said to her, I'm going to swim the channel. And she said, yeah, okay. What do you want for tea? She said. And I said, no. I've just seen David Walliams swim the channel. I'm going to swim the channel. I know how to do it now. I've just watched it. I know how to do it now. And so that's when I planted the seed in my mind in July 2006. That I was going to achieve this goal I'd set myself some 26 years beforehand. Yeah, as a long-term goal.
So you got inspired, you saw something that motivated you, something rekindled in you, and you said, okay, I'm going to swim the channel. How far across the channel is it?
So in a straight line, it's about 21 miles.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's key. I learned after talking to Paul, straight line is the way the crow flies is different than the way you swim the channel. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's tides in this. So in a straight line, it's 21 miles. You would start from just the other side of Dover. There's two starting positions. One's called Samphire Hoe, which is a man-made area where they put the diggings from the Channel Tunnel, and the other place is Shakespeare Beach. And it depends on which type of tide you go on as to where you start from. Yeah, so the first time we started from Samphire Hoe, the second time Shakespeare Beach, and the third time was Shakespeare Beach. Yeah.
And the third time we'll talk about as well, because it seems like it's sometimes easier to do things with a crew, but the toll that it took on you was a little bit more than possibly just swimming the channel by itself. But we'll talk about that in a second. So I want people to hear that. So the first time, how do you prepare to swim the channel? Do you just, you get in your bathtub and just start swimming, or what do you do?
No, that's not quite big enough in there. Yeah. No, so what I did was I'd actually retired from swimming for 11 years when I said I'm going to swim the channel, and that's why my wife just didn't believe me. I hadn't swum for 11 years. So what I did was I got in the swimming pool and I said, where am I now? So you can only start from where you are. You can't start from anywhere else. So I got in the pool.
Hang on. That's one of those throwaway gold moments. Yeah. Everybody write down, you can only start from where you are.
Yep.
Right? Doesn't matter what your past was, doesn't matter what your future is about to be.
Yep.
But what Paul just said was 10 years retired out of swimming, and all of a sudden he goes, how many of us are shooting for a huge rank in our business? How many of us are saying, I'm going to get my book done? How many of us are, I'm going to get my podcast done? What do I do?
Yep. Yep.
Write down, you can only start from where you're at right now.
You only start from where you are, you know, but what my good original mentor, Larry Thompson, said to me, he said, you know, what happens in your life today, what happens in your business today is not a result of what you did today, it's as a result of what you did yesterday. And that's another good one. What happens in your life today, what happens in your business today is not a result of what you've done today, it's what you did yesterday. And what I mean by that is, the fact is, I had done thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lengths in a swimming pool in my previous, you know, leading up to 2006. And you never lose that. You never lose that. But what I've lost is my fitness. So when I started that day in August 2006, I got in the pool and I did 32 lengths, and that was it. I was spent 32 lengths. But I said, okay.
That's not quite enough to cross the channel, is it? I'm
not quite enough. No. So what I did was I started with 32, and then I got in next day and did 34, and then 36, and then 40, and then 50. These are lengths, 50, and then 60, and then 80, and then 100. And then within a space of an hour, I'd gone from 32 lengths in an hour to 190 lengths in an hour, in a space of about two months, because I had the technique and I had the stroke and I had the experience. It was just fitness I hadn't got. So that's where I got to. And then I decided to get myself a coach. And that's important in business.
No, nobody needs a coach. I can do it on my
own. And I got my original coach who trained me when I was 12 years old, who was like nearly 70. And I said, John, I need you to coach me. And he said, I'm too old. And I said, no, you're not. I said, I'm 40. What was I then? I was 40. So I'm 43. And I said, you're 70. I said, age doesn't matter. I said, I'm going to swim the channel. You can coach me. And he said, let me think about it. And off he went. And 2 days later, he said, I'll do it. And so he was my coach. And, you know, he said, the first thing we need to do is get in the sea. He said, it's all very well doing 190 lengths in a swimming pool. You need to get in the sea. He said like that. So I said, good point. Let's go get in the sea. And this was then October.
Oh, it's the warm months.
Yeah, but I thought that was really cold then. I thought that, you know, this is cold, October. Apparently that's when it's really warm because it's had the whole summer to warm up the sea, and it's only just going down. But I thought I was really brave getting in the sea in October at the time. But it was nothing. But the key was December the 26th, 2006. December the 26th, 2006. Anyone who lives in England knows that the North Sea is not the place you go swimming on December the 26th, 2006, or any December the 26th. It's going to be cold. So I went down there to be this big, brave person who's going to get in the sea and swim in Felixstowe, if anyone knows Felixstowe, from this pub to the pier, which I'd looked on Google Earth, it looked about 100 meters, something like that. And so I got down there, and the radio were down there, and the big masts were down there, they set everything up, and there's all these people on there. And I was like waving to everyone when I got there. And when I looked down, I thought, oh my God, that's got to be at least a mile down there. And I looked around, I thought, all these people are here to see me. And
so let me give you just a little bit of a background, everybody. So everybody, on the 26th, everybody runs into the water because it's so cold and they run out.
Yes.
And they raise a little bit of charity. And Paul, it steps up in his pure
Speedos.
English bravado and Speedo and says, I'm going to swim to the pier. Well, everybody's looking at the pier and they're going, there's no way you're going to swim to the pier. And so now Paul's starting to think this too as he's walking towards the water.
Absolutely.
And this was for charity, right? This was
for charity. Yeah. We were raising money for local hospice here in Bury St Evans. And so I thought, there's no way can I bottle out of this. I've got to do it. There's all these people here. And they all said, take your marks and run in. So everybody ran in. And I put my goggles on, and I stepped towards the sea, And as it got towards my thighs, I thought, this is the coldest water I've ever seen. My feet immediately went numb. It was about 5 degrees centigrade, the actual water. So it's only 5 degrees above freezing point, of water. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I kept saying, I'm going to do this. And I'd read a book about hypothermia, how hypothermia can set into your body if you're not careful. And one of the things was when we swim, if you can see my hands, when we swim, we always have our fingers together. When hypothermia sets in, apparently your fingers start to come apart like this because your brain cannot communicate with your fingers. So I kept saying to myself, as long as my fingers are stuck together, I'm good. I'm not getting hypothermia. So I stepped in, and then it went above the Speedos, and my goodness is all I can say, how cold it was. And then I put my head in, boom, and off I did. And I have never, even since, I have never been that cold before. Never been that cold before. And I started to swim, and I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3. And I looked over there, and you could see some ships in the background there. 1, 2, 3. And all these people were running down the beach. And I thought, I have never been so cold. And fingers together. And I just kept going. I kept going. And the bad thing about it was it was against the tide. I was actually going forward trying to carve through the tide, which made it even longer. So normally for me a mile would be around about 15-16 minutes. Eventually 35 minutes later I actually arrived, and I touched the pier and got out, and I felt like a rubber man. My feet and my hands were like this. I couldn't feel them. They were like flapping, and I got out, and then I started shaking like this. And this is the body's natural reaction to getting you warm again. And a guy, Mike Reed, he'd actually got out. The King of the Channel was there that day. And he got out after 50 meters. He couldn't cope with it. And he came running down the beach to me. And he said, if you can do that, you can swim the channel. And I went, yes, I will swim the channel.
Wow. And Mike, and that was the King of the Channel, yes? King
of the Channel, yeah. He was there that day, and he got in with me, and he did about 50 meters and got out. It was too cold.
Well, when you've done it 19 times, however many times he's done it, it's like, I don't need to really do this.
Yeah.
But here's the part that you were telling me the other day when we were talking, is that when you would look out to the channel, you're like, there's the boats. But when you would look over, you'd go, there's people, I can't stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have people watch. If no one's watching you, you could probably get out, but if you've got all these people come especially down to see you, and BBC Radio Suffolk with their big masts there, and the reporter was running down, and he was interviewing people on the beach, and I could see all these people running down, in the distance there, and I thought, it does inspire you. It does inspire you to succeed. Yeah.
So for all of you that are building your businesses, it does take a village.
Yes.
Have that village who's going to be there to support you. Have those people. And it's even better when you don't know them and they're cheering you on, because you're doing something they want to do. Every one of you that's listening to Paul, realize you deserve the success that you're working for right now. Absolutely. This whole idea of where you're at right now, and you think sometimes you're on this journey by yourself. Paul was swimming by himself, but he had of people cheering him on. Why? Because he showed up at a time where people would show up. So as you go out and build your business and go on to social media, be consistent. Could you imagine if Paul showed up 4 hours after everybody left and swam? Who would know it? There'd be no witnesses. Sometimes you have to show up, and you've got to be the person that people witness to have success. Show up at the right time.
Yeah.
So Paul, you finish that little freezing jaunt. You get yourself all warmed back up. You get inspired by the King of the Channel, who says, if you could do that, you can do the channel. What happens next?
Yep. So I kept going in the sea in January and February, which, again, if anyone knows English Sea, the North Sea in January and February, pretty cold. But Larry Thompson and Jim Rohn, they always used to say, things don't just happen, things happen just. And we were talking about this earlier, Sean, and this has happened so many times in my life. And I always urge people to write that one down. Things don't just happen, things happen just. And I went swimming in a pool, And this lady said to me, why don't you go to the UK Cold Water Swimming Championships? I just read about it in the paper at the weekend. And I said, I hadn't heard of it. So she then said to me, Google it. So I Googled the UK Cold Water Swimming Championships, and I entered, and I went down to these championships. And when I got down there, there was 4 or 5 English Channel swimmers there. And I said to them, wow, I said, you swim a Channel? And I said, I'm swimming the Channel in July. And they said to me, you need to get to Dover on the first weekend of May. And I said, what happens there? And they said, Frida, someone called the Channel General, Frida Streeter, the Channel General, she will train you. She will get you across the Channel. And so that was, you know, so going from a swimming pool, chatting to a lady there, and then going to these UK Cold Water Swimming Championships, I learned about this training in Dover, you know, so things don't just happen, things happen just. And I went to Dover and met the Channel General. She was called Frida Streeter, a fearsome lady. She's lovely inside, but she's a fearsome lady, and you don't mess with her. And listen to this one. Her daughter is the world record holder for the number of Channel swims. She is called the Queen of the Channel, and she has done 43 Channel swims. Which, yeah, even to this day, I find it amazing. 43 Channel swims. And that's her daughter. That's Frida's daughter. And so I thought, okay, you need to be with these people. And I got 3 little takeaways at the end, and I'll mention this on there. So I was taught how to swim the Channel. And so we were doing 7 hours on a Saturday, backwards and forwards in Dover Harbour, 7 hours, backwards and forwards. And then you'd get out at 7 hours. And the general, as we called her, she would not let you get out at 6 hours, 58 minutes. It had to be 7 hours, because she said, you won't get out of the Channel 2 minutes before you arrive there in France. She said, so you need to go all the way. You know, whatever you're doing, she said, you need to go all the way. Don't cut corners. She said, go all the way. Well, if I tell you 7 hours, you need to do 7 hours, not 6 hours, 58. So that's what we did.
Wow.
Is that a good point, Sean?
Yeah, because that one point of you can't get out of your effort till you reach your goal. But
Yeah.
how many of us push it off? We go, well, I don't need to do a video every day.
Yeah.
I'll go back to Kevin Eastman. Every day counts on the last day.
Yeah.
Every minute counts on the last minute.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And folks, if you haven't picked up by now, you see the connection. He's talking about Jim Rohn. He's talking about another very dear friend of mine and ours, Larry Thompson. So funny how some of the language of motivation and inspiration can even help you get across the channel.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I've used Larry and Jim's in my business and in everything in politics. I'm a politician as well in politics, and I've used it everywhere. So it's good, just great stuff. And so yeah, with these swims, the general made us do was 7 hours on a Saturday, and then you get out and literally you feel in so much pain. It's unreal. And so we then went and had something to eat, went to bed, and then when you get up next morning, you can barely move. Barely move. And then you have to walk down to Dover Beach again. And she says, okay, 6 hours today. And you think, oh, so the first thing you can do is get in that cold water that you spent 7 hours in yesterday. And then you got to swim for 6 hours. Not 5 hours, 58, 6 hours. and one in particular day that I was talking to Sean about during the week was a Sunday afternoon with I was about 5 hours, and it clouded over. As I was I was swimming, I thought, this isn't looking good. And so you're swimming along Dover Harbour, and you can see the white cliffs of Dover up here, and you can see all the ferries over there, and you're swimming along, and it clouded over, and it started raining. And next thing, forked lightning coming down in the water, hitting the cliffs of Dover. And I'm looking over, swimming in the water, I think, I'm going to die. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. But I was thinking of Frida, no, I can't get out at 5 hours, 10 minutes? I can't get out. I've got to do 6 hours. And it was coming down, this lightning, and it really was terrifying. And then I kept looking as I was swimming. You wear a watch in the water, and I kept looking, and somehow, to this day, I don't know. Somehow, I got to 6 hours, walked up the beach, and she sat there in her sou'wester, soaking wet. I mean, she's on the beach in this fork lightning. So I thought, well, if she's going to be on the beach, I can swim. I can swim. And we did. And so we're doing these swims every weekend, 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, as well as 60,000 meters in the pool during the week, in the pool. And yeah, that's how we then prepared ourselves for the channel, for the big day.
So big day comes, and what I didn't realize is like how many certifiably lunatic people there are that are wanting to swim the channel. Because when I was reading your info, you heard you'd be the third boat out. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the very first thing you do when you decide to swim the channel, so now stepping back to 2006, the July, is you ring up and you ring, so there are registered pilots, only registered pilots can do this, and I say, I want to swim the channel. So he gets his diary out and he says, okay, I've got one slot where you can swim number 3 on the week of the tide of July I think it was July the 8th. It was that week's tide. And I said, what does that mean? I have no idea what that means. So what happens is you swim on a tide, and they normally, although they're doing it differently now, they back then they're doing it on a neap tide, and a neap tide has a lower rise and fall. So I'll do it up here, a lower rise and fall of the water, because the spring tides are really big tides. But so he said, you can go number 3. I said, what does that mean? And he said, number 1 is a guy from Australia. Number 2 was another guy. You're number 3, and number 1 gets the tide first. So if, for instance, you get to your week's tide, and it's a really bad day that day, you get moved back a day, you will always go number 3. But luckily, as luck would have it, that particular week, he went on the 8th, next guy went on the 9th, and my swim date, July the 10th, it happened. That was the day it happened, yeah.
So when you speak of the tide, because we're going to talk about that, listen, I'll just give you a little prelude to it. One guy didn't swim fast enough, and he spent 6 more hours in the channel. Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that in a second. Paul, go back to your map behind you and show people what the tide does.
Yeah.
Take a look at this map behind him.
I don't know if you can see, it looks a bit as if there's light on there, but this here, this is England, and this is France here. And so you're trying to swim from Dover Harbour here to this point here, which is called Cap Grisnez in France. So that is the straight line distance between England and France. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I haven't got any zoom facility. But here is where I started, here. And if you follow my finger, this was my route.
Wait a minute. So is it because of your heritage you couldn't swim in a straight line?
My heritage? No, it's due to the tide. It's due to the tide taking you. Yeah. Yeah.
So how far did you actually swim? I'm guessing it was a little more than 23 miles. Yeah.
Yeah. I put it up the course. 52 kilometers was the swim. 52 kilometers. Yeah. Because of the way the channel takes you. And the other thing about this is we didn't mention at the beginning, but there's been more people have climbed Mount Everest than have ever swum a channel. More people have climbed Mount Everest than have ever swum a channel. And the reason is there's 600 ships per day, backwards and forwards, tankers. It's the busiest shipping route in the world. And here is they come this way on this side, and they go this way this side. It's like a you call them freeways in America. We call them motorways. Yeah, and so it's like a huge motorway. And to cope with that as well, you've also got the Dover to Calais ferries going backwards and forwards across the channel. So you've got to deal with all these ships. Yeah.
So you step in the water. The day comes. Talk a little bit about the visualization for the first round.
Yeah, very very much so. And one of the things I always try and do is visualize the end goal. visualize it. So when I first decided to swim it, the first thing I did was pictured myself swimming across the channel and walking up the beach. So you have to have your goal finished before you even start it. Yeah, so you have to finish it before you start it, otherwise you're never going to get there. And I visualized over and over and over again, getting in the sea, swimming across and walking up on that beach. So when it comes to the day of actually doing it, I'd already done it about 300 times. This was just another swim. So I've done it over and over and over again in my mind. So that was very important to me.
So speak to actually stepping in the water now for, again, on the first round. And how did that serve you when you stepped into the water and took the swim for the 301st time, if you will?
Yeah, it was great. It was we got on the boat about 5 in the morning, and the time we got to the starting point, you have to dive off the boat, swim ashore, put your hand up and say, right, I'm good to go. And he starts the clock and off you go. And when I stepped in, I thought, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. You know, I've done this loads of times already in my head. Let's just go do it. And you swim across to the boat, and then basically you follow the pilot boat who you've paid to get you across, get through all these tankers. Yeah. And it was just amazing. And the great thing about that first swim, and I can still feel it on my body today, was the way the water picked you up, and you could feel it just lifting you and bringing you forward each time. So as you're swimming, you could feel it like this, and I can still feel that in my mind now. It was so wonderful. Yeah.
So there was a question Daniela Nunez asked, how long did it take?
The first swim?
Yep.
13 hours, 52 minutes. The first one I was in there for, yeah. Non-stop swimming, yeah.
Everyone start right now, and then just wait for 13 hours and 52 minutes today. Just go about your day, and then figure out you'll be finally getting out of the English Channel and walking across into France.
You're not allowed to touch anything. You can't touch the boat. If you want to go to the toilet, it's pretty crude. You just pull the trunks to the side and you go. It's you can't touch anything other than your food, which comes over the side, and you grab hold of your container, flip the lid, glug, 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 boom, and then gets reeled back on board the boat, and you carry on swimming. Yeah, it's constant 13 hours, 52 minutes swimming, non-stop.
Wow. So now here's the part that is pretty important, because so many of us, right, we get so close to success and we kind of stop, and it delays our success. So one of the things that you told me about, which I didn't, again, listen, let me just check my no, I have not swum the channel, so I don't know anything about this. When you talked about the channel, because the thing we understand about tides, we all understand tides go in and they come out. And you have to start at a particular time so that 13 hours later, you're in the right spot so you can get out.
Absolutely.
What was that thing where they were telling you swim, 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 right?
Yeah.
Why was that? Why were they telling you go, go, go? Because what could have happened?
Right. So this is a bit about goal setting, isn't it? So many people give up when they're almost there. They're almost there. They think, oh, I just can't do this anymore. They give up. But 1 mile off the French coast is called the graveyard of channel swimmers, because you can see it. It is so close. When you're swimming, you think you can actually touch Cap Grisnez. You're so close to it. If you don't hit the tide correctly, and if you haven't got to a certain location in the channel at the correct speed, to actually get there, the tide changes. And a guy I crewed for after my channel swim, I was the one that I said to him, you need to now sprint. So you've been swimming for, say, 12 hours. And I'm saying, you now need to sprint for 40 minutes. We're nearly there. We need to sprint. And he said to me at the time, I'm not going to sprint. I'm nearly there. But when I got there that time, I actually thought to myself, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. I'm nearly there. What happens is if you don't do as the crew are shouting down to you, so if you take it in business, if you don't do what your coaches are telling you to do, you will fail, because what happens is the tide changes and you cannot fight through the strength of that current, and you will go sideways for around about 6 hours. Round about 6, you just go sideways. And so all you can actually do is swim. And I was given a key piece of advice. Can I say it now?
Yes,
key
please.
piece of advice, yeah, to actually swim the channel.
Yes.
And it goes for anything in life, whatever you're doing. Alison Streeter, the queen of the channel, the one who'd done it 43 times to me, I said to her, how do I swim the channel? And she said to me, all you need to do is get in the water, put one arm in front of each other, and keep swimming until you get to France. And then she walked off. And I thought, well, I know that, you know, of course, what else could there be? And I said, what else is there? She said, no, that's it. And she walked off. And I thought, now, what does she mean by that? What does she mean? Put one arm, step in the water, put one arm in front of the other, and keep swimming until you get to France. Well, it's obvious, isn't it? It's obvious. And I went away and thought about it, and I thought to myself, no, I know what she meant. I get it. So you get in the water, and you start swimming. What was that one? You get in the water, you start swimming, and when you're swimming, you might get stung by a jellyfish, but it doesn't matter. You just put one arm in front of the other and keep swimming until you get to France. And then you're swimming along, and you're cold. The water's really cold. You're swimming along, you're cold. Well, that doesn't matter. You just put one arm in front of the other, and you keep swimming until you get to France. And then you go a bit further, and you might, things float along in the channel. You get hit by pieces of wood. You suddenly, there's dead fish. There's all sorts of things. There's a seal behind. There's a seal behind me, you know. And you think, oh my God, that doesn't matter. You just keep putting one arm in front of the other, and you keep swimming until you get to France. And 1 mile off the French coast, if you haven't hit the actual place correctly, you've got a 6-hour swim ahead of you. And so all you do is you keep swimming while you're just going sideways for 6 hours. You just keep swimming, and it's not getting any closer, and you could think, oh my God, I'm so close to my goal there, and I can't get there. But no, you just keep putting one arm in front of the other, and you keep swimming until you get to France. And then sure enough, as I told you right at the start, all of a sudden my little finger touched the sand at the bottom, and I kept swimming, and I stepped up, and I swam to France. Yeah. So that's key. That's a key piece of information. And to her, that was a throwaway piece of information. And I've used that for a lady who wanted to run the London Marathon. And she said, I always have to give up about 22 miles. And I said, well, what you need to do is when you hit 22 miles and your back aches and you're thirsty and you're in pain and you're hungry and it's raining, whatever it is, you just need to keep running until you cross the finish line. So you can apply that to anything you do in life, you know. And I told that marathon lady that, and she nearly gave up and she thought about what I said.
I'm sorry?
Hold on, Paul. We muted you. Hang on, Paul. There we go. You're good. You're unmuted. Keep going.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear that last bit?
No, go ahead. Say it again.
So
we heard about the running, so just keep running.
Yeah. So you know that's key to anything, and it was such a throwaway piece of information she gave me there. You know, put one arm in front of the other and keep swimming till you get to France. Key. And
the key is that you had to get it. You had to keep your momentum going, because if you didn't, that one guy spent another 6 hours. What was? Did you happen to chat with him afterwards?
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day, he did it. You know, but what it actually meant, I crewed for this guy after I'd done mine. His name was Donald Buckley from Ireland, and he's a great guy. You know, but I give him his due. 6 hours, he kept swimming, kept putting one arm in front of the other until he got to France, and he landed in 18 hours 57 minutes. He actually landed on there, but he could have done it in 12 hours if he'd have done what I said to him at the time. Yeah, and I was his coach, you know, so I was telling him to do it, but he didn't listen, and he did it. But he did it. He did it in 18 hours 57 minutes. That's a long time to be on the boat, which we didn't need to be on there being sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for not giving up on him. Yeah. So I'm going to open it up for some questions. If you've got some questions for Paul, go ahead and raise your hand. But Paul, I also want to recognize there's somebody on here that seems to have your last name, Becky. Tell us who Becky is.
She's my wife. And
I know.
She is my wife. I said, no, she was my wife. She is my wife. And without her, I could not have done it, because I mean she was on the boat feeding me, and she didn't take her eyes off me for one moment of those 13 hours 52 minutes. She was amazing, brilliant. She's been on all my three swims. And I was also lucky enough to hit another 2 goals afterwards, which was to represent Great Britain at open water swimming at age 45. So I'm the oldest known person to have swum for Great Britain in 2 FINA World Cup open water Grand Prix at age 45. And she was, again, crewed for me on the boat, feeding me, watching me, motivating me on the boat. So, yeah. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. And I see another name I just want to recognize, Sebastian.
Oh, he's on there, is he? Yeah, it's my son. Yeah, he was great as well. Yeah, he got a certificate from the Channel General for doing 6 minutes in Dover Harbour. Yeah, we did 6 hours. He did 6 minutes. Yeah, yeah, he did well. Yeah, he was great.
Well, thank you both, Sebastian and Becky, for joining us, because a lot of times you're unsung heroes, the folks in the back, and I just wanted to recognize you because having been what I've been doing now for almost 40 years, yeah, sometimes we forget those who are very special and dear to us, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. So let's see. So Corinne, who's in California, has got a question for you. Corinne is this amazing young soul who just she does this thing with moving people and inspiring people through dance and through leadership and through just sheer determination. She's got this incredible soul about her. So Corinne, go ahead and ask your question to Paul.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Sean.
Hi, Corinne. I see you.
Hi, Paul. Thank you. Thank you so much for your story. And just seeing these real life world examples definitely puts it into perspective. So thank you so much. I wanted to ask, we're talking a lot about self-talk and, what we say to ourselves while we're going through, these goals. And I wanted to ask, how is your self-talk? What did you say to yourself every day? And how was your self-talk in alignment with your goal?
Okay, great question. I mean, when you're in the water for nearly 14 hours, a lot goes through your mind, as you can imagine. And as Sean said earlier, I'm a big Jim Rohn fan, and I was very lucky enough in the late 1980s, early 1990s to spend a day with him every single month. I loved Jim Rohn. And what I did, I had lots of his sayings going through my mind. Lots of his sayings, and so I was trying to recite all the Jim Rohn stuff from his the cassette tapes I had then in his mind. And one of the things, though, I've already told you on here today, but one of those things that really got me across the channel, and I kept thinking about it over and over and over again, and I was laughing to myself in the water, was just keep putting one arm in front of the other and keep swimming till you get to France. And I kept laughing at that comment to myself all the way across. One arm in front of the other, keep swimming till you get to France. I kept saying it over and over again whenever I felt a little bit down. Yeah.
So, Paul, I want to touch on that because you said something key there. Again, to me, it's one of those hidden little secrets, the laughing.
Yeah.
That higher energy, that changing of state, right? We hear people say all of the time, motion creates emotion, right? So you're in a place where you could possibly be in sheer pain, which you probably were many times.
Yeah.
But the quality of your emotions determines the quality of your life. And for the 13 hours and 52 minutes, the quality of your swim.
Yeah.
What did you, and I think that's a brilliant question Corinne asked about the self-talk, because most people might not hear the laughing part. How important was that to you?
It was very important to laugh across the channel because, if you're going to swim to France, you're going to be in there a long time. And so laughing to myself was it was just something I did. I can't really explain it to you other than that it kept me happy. And I thought, this is great. And you're swimming along, you think, 1, 2, 3. You think, oh, there's Becky up there on the boat, and then 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's an oil tanker over there. Swimming along with an oil tanker, great, And so it's just like crazy thoughts all the way across, and then a little bit of Jim Rohn. And I'll tell you something as well. When you get a bit tired, if you can imagine, if you're just swimming in the water, and you're just swimming along, you think, oh, I feel a bit tired now. So I shut my eyes and I went to sleep. And I carried on swimming and I was asleep. Not fast asleep, but in a state of a almost like a trance type state as I was in there, just to give you that little bit of rest on there. But the laughing was, it was essential. It was essential to get you across. Yeah, you got to enjoy it. Whatever you do, you got to enjoy it, haven't you?
That's
If you don't
so
enjoy
cool.
it, don't do it.
Thank you, Corinne, for that question. Let's go to Manny. Hey, Manny, how are you, brother?
Good morning, Sean. I'm doing great.
Hi, Manny.
Good to see you, brother.
Hello,
What's your
Paul. Good
question?
morning. Thank you. Thank you for your time this morning, Paul.
Well,
I had a 3-part question. My first question is, did your first time was 13 hours? Did your time improve the second and third time? Did you have the intention of trying to beat your first time? And if you didn't, if you dealt with any, I guess, dissatisfaction or disappointment of not being able to beat maybe a time you had in your mind?
Great questions. Really, really good questions. And so I'll cover the emotion bit in the first section as well. But the first time, 13 hours 52 minutes. I had no idea how long I was going to take, but based on my swimming speed in a swimming pool, I estimated about 14 hours. I thought if I can do it within 14 hours, I'll be really pleased. So 13 hours 52 minutes was great, but as I said to Sean the other day, the time doesn't exist in the channel. All you're actually doing is putting one arm in front of the other and keep swimming until you get to France. Now, I keep saying that, but that's the truth of the fact. You have no idea what conditions you're going to meet on the day. The weather can change. The tides can be a spring tide or a neap tide. Nothing prepares you for actually getting in that channel and swimming. So you just need to be focused, as I was, on walking up that beach. Now, it didn't matter if it was in 10 hours or 20 hours. I knew in my mind I was going to do it. There's no way was I not going to do it. They would have to drag me out of there, unconscious, but before I was going to give up. So I knew I was going to do it. So time was irrelevant in the channel. And the emotion, so I'm just going to cover there, because when I finished it and I got out on this is a Tuesday, on the Wednesday and the Thursday and the Friday, I was in a state of very high emotion. I was so excited. I had achieved a goal which had taken me 26. Then it had been 27 years to achieve that goal. I was so elated. When I got up on Saturday morning, something was wrong, and I was like way down here, woof, way down. Emotionally, I was depressed. I was really depressed, and I thought, what is going on here? What is going on here? And I was really down in the dumps. And then I remembered what Jim Rohn said. And Jim Rohn said that some of the astronauts, when they went to the moon, he said they had severe psychological problems after they came back to Earth. And the reason is, when you've been to the moon and back, where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? And so having swum the channel and achieved my goal, I thought, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And so the emotion was really bad, really bad. I was way down here. So that's when I decided to do it again. So it gave me another goal. And Jim Rohn again talks about that now when they train the astronauts, you need to have short-term goals, long-term goals, but at the end of having achieved one of your big goals, you need to be working straight away on either a short-term goal or a long-term goal, to actually deal with that psychological hit which you take having achieved your goal on that. What was the intention one? The intention was, I've forgotten what the intention was. You said
if you had intentions on beating the 13 hours and 52 minutes.
Right. Yes. On the other swims. Yeah. So again, when I got in for the second one, this might blow you away because it blew me away. The second one, I had visualized, and this is an important tip. If you're into
very
visualization,
important.
Yeah, if you're into visualization, that first swim, I visualized getting in the morning as the sun was rising, and then swimming across with the sun beating down on me, and then getting out of the beach as the sun was setting. I visualized that over and over again. That's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. The second one was supposed to be a two-way English Channel swim. So from England to France to England. That's what I set off to do on the second one. So what I visualized was getting in the water in the morning, coming out of the beach in France in the evening, stepping back in the water and swimming back through the night. That's what I visualized. And if you remember what we said about when they tell you when you can go with the tides and everything, my pilot said to me the day before the second one, he said, we're going tomorrow night at 8:30. I said, yeah, no problem, no problem. So when I got to the beach and I dived in the water, I thought, oh my God, I hadn't visualized starting at night. I haven't visualized this. What's going on? And I stepped, I sort of dived off the boat, swam ashore. It was pitch black. It was raining. There was no moon. There was no stars. And I crawled out onto the beach, and I could see this great big spotlight sort of looking at me from the boat. And he said, honk, and I stepped into the water, and I couldn't see anything. It was just pitch black. And I got in the water, and if you remember, I said to you that first swim, the water was like this, and it took you out like this. The second one, when I got in, it was like being inside a washing machine. It was like this. It was pitch black. I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. And I thought, this is awful. This is awful. And I swam to the boat. I said, this is awful. This is what Becky said. Carry on. Just keep swimming. And it was literally, it was like this. It was just boom, 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 boom in this water. But I couldn't see it. It was just so black. And Becky was this side on the boat this time. And as I looked up there, all I could see was this big spotlight coming down on me. So I was just blinded by the spotlight. And when I looked over there, it was just black. It was just completely black. And somehow, I got across, again with sheer determination, I got across in 13 hours and 3 minutes. So it's 49 minutes faster than that second one, than the first one.
Wow.
And I don't even know how I got across. It was just sheer will and determination, but it was awful. Absolutely awful. So in the channel, you can't say, I'm going to beat a time. You never know what the conditions are going to be like. You just get in there and you put one arm in front of the other and you swim until you get to France, because you just don't know what it's going to be like. Yeah. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, that's just so cool though, because you started the second race without actually visualizing how you were going to start it.
Yeah.
With more turbulence and more adversity.
Yeah. And
your determination was able to get you to beat the first time.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Very
amazing.
so. Yeah.
And so Paul,
the key there, Sean, what I was just about to say, the key to that is when you're visualizing something, you need to try and visualize all the different scenarios. And I'm big into visualization, and that really taught me a lesson. You know, you have to visualize all these different scenarios, not just the one you want it to be.
So because of starting off going, I can't see, right, on the shores over in Dover, 14 hours later, 13 and change later,
yeah.
Did you step back in and go back to France? I mean, go back to England, or did you stop when you got to France?
No, I didn't, because the whole thing had defeated me at the time. It defeated me. Otherwise, there'd be 3 solos and there'd be another swim, you see. So,
yep.
So how I got across there, I don't know, because I hadn't visualized it on that. So that's why we went back. Again, I thought I got to go and do another swim. And that's why we decided to do a relay across the third time, which was fantastic fun. Yeah.
So again, folks, the power of what Paul's talking about, the visualization, is key. And because he did it faster. And I don't know if anybody told him the time when he got out on France, that might have been motivation enough, but it wasn't. 13 hours of kind of beating yourself up, of not having the same film run. Mm-hmm. It was the same channel. It was the same water. It was the same. Becky was there inspiring him on, pushing him on, and all of the conditions were swimmable, but they weren't part of the same movie.
Yeah.
So this part of visualization, and when I asked Paul the same question Manny asked, he said, you don't get faster or slower in the channel. The channel determines your speed, not you.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is key, right? We talk about all the time. It's not your passion that wanes, that's a little off. It's your plan.
Yeah.
So, Manny, any follow up to that?
Yeah, just the second time, since nothing of it was visualized, although you accomplished your goal, were you unsatisfied because it didn't play out the way you've been visualizing it for so long?
Yes and no is the answer to that, because as I approached France, the second time, this time I burst into tears and I filled my goggles up with tears, because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be a two-time channel swimmer here. Yeah, and if you look at the video, there's a video on my Open Waterpedia pages. It's called Open Waterpedia. It's a bit like Wikipedia for open water swimmers. There's a video on there, and it's on YouTube as well. And you can hear Becky saying in the background, I bet he didn't think he was going to be doing this 12 hours ago, because it nearly beat me, but I think it's sheer stubbornness and determination which got me across on that. And I never actually felt sad that I hadn't achieved the two-way, but in years afterwards, I felt myself, I must go around to doing this one day, so who knows? Yeah, I'd like to be the oldest person to do a two-way channel swim perhaps one day. We'll see.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for asking my questions, Paul. I greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Let's go to Daniela. Daniela, she may still be on the beach. She was in the water.
I wasn't. No, I'm on the patio today. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. So I know you touched base a little bit about your partner, like Becky being your supporter. How much of that was a bigger impact on you than if she wasn't there?
I don't think I could have done any of this without her support, because it's not just about swimming on the day. What it meant was a whole, first swim, a whole year's worth of commitment, swimming non-stop. And then from the May, every weekend, we had to drive to Dover. We had to stay in a bed and breakfast on the Friday night, the Saturday night. So we had to drive there. And so every weekend we were away from home. So it was a financial expense. And so we had to agree all this together to do it. And I don't think, if she'd have said, oh, yeah, you're going swimming again, arrows of the tongue, as Larry Thompson used to call it. Oh, you're going swimming again? She never once said that. Not once did she ever say that to me. And she came with me every single time, except for that one where we had the Fork Lightning come down, because she was actually doing a run for cancer charity here in Bury St Edmunds, where we live. So every single time she was with me, and I couldn't have done it. And also Sebastian came with me lots of times as well, so he came down as well. So yeah, it's a family effort.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Daniela. Let's go to Serbia. AJ, how are you, brother?
Serbia. Love Serbia. I swam for Great Britain in Serbia. Yeah.
Really?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so honored to be here, man. This story, this is just getting me all fired up here, man. I'm like, what's happening here? The question I wanted to ask was, actually Corinne already kind of did it, but for me, it's when you're in the water, and swimming is as we know, a solo sport, so to speak. So it's you versus you, basically. In team sports, there's always a guy who can do more. There's always a guy who can, you can depend on those people more, right? But here, swimming, it's all up to you, man. So for me, the question is, how do you, in the times when you're in the water, when you're alone, when you've been swimming for 10 hours, how do you go hand-in-hand combat with your own mind, which is kind of the story of self-talk? What keeps pushing the man in that position when you're alone, it's dark, it's cold, and you're trying to keep your your toes and fingers together? Like, what makes a man fight his mind in that time, and how do you even get to that sort of sheer will and power of discipline? How do you even practice discipline to that level?
Yeah, fantastic question. Yeah, and I think if I knew the full answer for that, I'd sell it because it's something inside, isn't it? It's something inside of you to achieve those goals. And I think everyone is different, but when you're in there, one of the things that I was doing when I was in there was we wanted to raise money for charity, and so I think a lot of the times if you think I'm in the water, oh, so cold in here, oh, I really want to get out. No, but I need to raise this money for charity. So you keep firing yourself. You do talk to yourself, and you keep firing yourself up in there. And raising the money for charity was key. And I've always done it for as long as I can ever remember, and that does inspire me. And again, that same weekend that we had the Fork Lightning in there was on the way down in the car, and that was the weekend Becky didn't come with me. She phoned me up in the car, and she was going, she was screaming. I said, I can't hear. What are you saying? What are you saying? And she was screaming. And someone had just donated £1,000 to my charity on there. And so, you're in the water and that Fork Lightning's coming down, and you think, someone's just given me £1,000. If they give me £1,000, I can swim in here in the Fork Lightning, no problem. And there's all these little things, are little nuggets that keep you going in there. And as I said, Jim Rohn, I kept thinking about him all the time, and his sayings, and his goals. And one of his sayings, which I've got in my book I'm writing, it says, goals. There's no telling what you can achieve when you get inspired by them. There's no telling what you can do when you believe in them. There's no telling what can happen when you act upon them. And that's from Jim Rohn. And all these nuggets of information in my mind there are always, and you drift off, and you drift over here, and you drift over there, and as I said, I went to sleep, almost asleep, not quite asleep, but just almost unconscious in there with your arms going around, and you just do whatever you do and think whatever you've got to think to get you to where you want to be. That's how you get across.
Yeah, that's it, I guess. Just one more thing. I see a couple more hands up, so I don't want to take any more time, but the day afterwards, right? The day afterwards, you are sitting at home, you are physically and mentally broken. You are just like bits and pieces. And then, like you said, what do you do now? So what's happening on that mental screen in your mind? Like what's the image now? And how do you fight with that? Like, okay, so where do I go now?
That's another good one. I mean, it wasn't just the night, the day after about the broken. It was all through the night. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down.
Yeah.
My wrists had been in this pain, this position for 14 hours.
Yeah.
And on here, I had like a boiled egg on both sides, like a half a boiled egg on there. And when I moved my hands, they actually creaked. They were they were creaking on there, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was in such pain. It was incredible pain. But I think when that started to wear off, which was the 4 days later, then I thought, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I stood on Dover Harbour, looking across to France again. And that's when someone said, why don't you go and do a two-way channel swim? I said, what's that? That's how,
yeah, sure, why not?
Let's go.
Sure, why not?
But you needed that, to fire you up again and get you going again, because otherwise I think I'd still be depressed now, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for your time.
Serbia is an awesome place. I swam from Jarak to Sabac in Serbia, which is a 19-kilometer river swim. Awesome, beautiful place.
Awesome.
Serbia's beautiful, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ. Appreciate you, brother. Let's go to Anne. You might recognize this accent, or it may not even sound funny.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hi, Anne. Yes. Good, thank you. Yeah.
Firstly, I want to say, Sean, you look really nice today. Your orange shirt, really nice. So the question I wanted to ask you, Paul, also thank you for sharing your story. I wrote down loads of notes. It's actually inspired me even more. So thank you for sharing your story and being here with us. So you said, like, one of the lines that you said is, you have no idea what kind of conditions, you will encounter whilst you're in the channel. So I wanted to ask you, how do you reflect that in your daily routine, and what is your daily routine to prepare you for that event? So, like, what do you do, like, when you wake up to when you go to sleep? Like, obviously not like every minute, but like what kind of things do you place in your day to prepare you for such an event?
Yeah, okay, that's great. That's a great question. And I think you've always got in your mind the final goal. Jim Rohn used to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the plan was to walk up the beach in France. So you walk up the beach in France, and so that's in your mind all the time. So that's what you're thinking. But every day, I used to be in the pool at 7 o'clock every morning, and my goal each morning was to beat the number of lengths that I did the previous morning normally by 1 or 2. Yeah, because you get to a certain stage, you just cannot physically. We only used to have an hour in the pool, so you cannot physically get much more. You can't go much faster than that. So I got to about 190 lengths and that. So I achieved that little goal to get to 190 lengths. And so every morning, you have to be disciplined to get in that pool every morning. So you sometimes wake up and think, oh, I really don't feel like going to swim, but you have to because you have to picture yourself standing on the beach in France. So every morning in the pool and in some of the evenings, but then every Friday, we say about being in the Channel, every Friday night, driving down to Dover. And if you're British, obviously, you have to go down the M20, around the M25, through the Dartford Tunnel, and it's a complete nightmare to actually even get to Dover. And so you get to Dover, park yourself up in your B&B, focusing on spending 7 hours tomorrow morning in Dover Harbour, backwards and forwards. The Channel General says to you, right, in you get 7 hours, and so you sort of swim over to the pier. You think, where shall I go now? Oh, I'll swim over to where the ferries are, to the dock. And you think, oh, where should I go? Oh, I'll have to go back again. And it's very monotonous. It's about 2 kilometres, across there and back. And then you come in for a feed. You come in for a feed at 2 hours and that. And then so you are actually in the Channel there, but you're slightly protected. You're slightly protected because it's got a wall around it. But it's key to get in that English Channel, to actually sit and keep looking across to France and stand on the cliffs in Dover and keep looking across, so all that mental preparation and say, and the key is not to say, I'm attempting to swim the Channel. The key is saying, on July the 10th, I'm going to swim the Channel. Doesn't matter what. I'm going to get in, put one arm from the other and keep swimming until I get to France. Yeah. So, but there's things in there, there's seals in there and there's dolphins in there, and I never got to see a dolphin when I was swimming, but there was a seal behind me, and it's quite a weird thought to have this big seal behind you, and I've often thought afterwards about it biting your toes. I don't know why, I kept picturing it biting my toes. There's things in there, and it's all a mental challenge. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
no, it really did. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
cool. Paul, the nugget I took away from there is that you can anticipate, you can visualize, you can do all of the stuff, but when it comes down to the day, you're just going to do it. Because you've told me there's a couple of people that that how many times did they start and they paid their money, they did their practice, they did all of their stuff, but how many times? There's one guy that did it how many times and didn't get out?
Well, 3 times. He went down to Dover. And he trained with us, and he was physically capable of it. And this is a key thing. Swimming the Channel is definitely 80% mental, 20% physical. 80% mental, 20% physical. That gets thrown around a lot, those statistics. But swimming the Channel is 80% mental, 20% physical. And he went down there 3 times. And once you step on that boat, and he pulls out of Dover Marina to take you to the start point, whether it's Channel, whether it's Samphire Hoe or Sapphire Beach. Once you Shakespeare Beach or Samphire Hoe, either one. As soon as you step on that boat, you hand over your £2,500 to the guy on there. £2,500. Thank you very much. He dived in 3 times. The longest he lasted in there was 30 minutes. 30 minutes in there. Twice he didn't even get off the boat. He didn't even dive in because it beat him up. It beat him up mentally before he even got in there. He said, I can't do that.
So 7,000 pounds, 7,000 pounds, he spent 30 minutes in the Channel.
Yeah. It's quite expensive.
Well, Well, and again, I'll go back to the profession we're in. It sounds like some people in network marketing. How many times have they attended events and never really done a whole lot?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's mental. It's true. It truly is mental.
Yeah, very much so.
Awesome. Daniela, let's go to Daniela in Miami. Daniela.
There's Daniela.
Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Paul. This is Delia from Miami.
Hi, Delia.
Your story really affirms what I've always thought it was real. But of course, the 97% says no, so I stumble. So planting new seeds is all about mind work. My question is, after that first swim that you accomplished your goal and you came out of the water physically exhausted, I imagine, mentally satisfied because you did your goal, your ending goal, and you knew intuitively, or maybe by training from Jim Rohn, that you had to plant a new seed or else you're going to be in doubt because you had no goal in life. Yeah. You already reached the peak, so you have to reach for another peak. When did you come to that realization after the few days of feeling low and in physical pain?
Did you say when? When?
Yeah, how long did it take you? Because we need to give our bodies a break and take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times we beat ourselves because we're feeling low and we want to be on a high state, but it takes time for our bodies to recoup.
Yep.
I said it took more than one night of sleep to get back to the old Paul that was going to swim the channel again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think when his name was Kevin Murphy, there's politics involved in the channel. So we have a king of the channel, we have a king of the English channel. One's on 33, one's on 34. There's politics involved there. But Kevin Murphy is the king of the English channel. He's done one more than the king of the channel on there. And he was the one who said to me, why don't you do a two-way on the Saturday morning? On Monday morning, I was back in the pool. So 6 days after I swam a channel, I was back in the pool again, training, fired up for the next session. So you can't rest for too long. You can't rest for too long. Jim Rohn talks about 6 days labor, 1 day rest. I had 6 days rest, one day of labor there. I had it the other way around for a period of time, and then we're back into the routine again. It's important to get back into it because. Life is for living, isn't it? Yeah, life is for living. Yeah, Jim Rohn always used to say to me, "Why don't you do it all, see it all, have it all? You've got to stay here till you go. What else are you going to do? So that's the key, isn't it? What else are you going to do? You've got to do it all, see it all, have it all." And 6 days after my first channel swim, I was back in the pool again, training for the next one. Yeah.
And if I hear you right, what you did was to look up to that person that could give you the support.
Yeah.
Not the person that could bring you down.
Yeah, yeah.
You look for Kevin because he had done it 41 times?
Yeah. No, Kevin had done it 34 times and Mike Reed had done it 33 times when I did my swim. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I used this one with Jim Rohn again. You said about looking up to him. You said, don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. So if you're the what was it he said to you about being you need to be the least smart person in the room. So I went to Dover having not swam the channel to be with people who'd swam the channel so they could tell me how to swim the channel. I was the least smart person in the room there. And then and now here I am telling you how to swim the channel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delia. Awesome question. And again, folks, please take a picture of Paul, and if you can get yourself in the selfie there with the screen and hashtag Hoffy, right? Hoffy, hashtag Paul, and his name is right there, right? Write it down. Because I want to promote him. He's not going to toot his own horn. The guy swam the English Channel twice, right? Did it a third time on a relay. And the relay, that was a little bit more of an interesting challenge, because Paul, talk a little bit about that. Why was that even like a little bit more, I want to say, abusive to the body and possibly the mind? Why was doing it in a relay?
Yeah. Well, I always say I swam the channel 3 times, because I have 3 certificates saying I swam a channel. And you know, lots of people like Usain Bolt and what have you, when they say they have, I don't know, 10 gold medals, you know, some of those are in a relays, you know. So being part of a team was more fun than actually doing it on your own, you know. So we actually set this team up, and we called it Team Irina International, because we all came from different countries. We didn't actually meet each other until we got to Dover. We assembled in Dover on July the 4th, 2010, I think it was. And yeah, so we got in the channel. We didn't know how many people were good swimmers, who were bad swimmers, how fast they were. And you know, when we set off, it was quite clear we had 2 or 3 really very good swimmers in there, and some not as good. And the lady who organised the relay, she was actually a very slow swimmer. And we talk about tides. When she got in, we actually went backwards in the channel. You know, so this is this thing about swimming. Keep going until you get to France. You know, because her stroke wasn't strong enough to propel us forward, but she still had to do her 1 hour stint as the first hour stint. So I can't remember the order we went in. There's a guy called Pavel went first. I think I went third or fourth. I must have gone fourth, I think. But the lady who got in, we went backwards, and then we had to go even faster to try and get to the other side. You know, before this tidal problem on there. So there's a 6-person relay, and what is so difficult about that is you have to dive in the cold water in the middle of the night again. So you dive in the water, can't see what you're getting in. You dive in there, and you do your swim, and then when they sound the horn, there's all rules to this. Yeah, you have to dive off the back of the boat, and the person has to come round and come up behind you and overtake you. Then you have 1 minute to get out. So it's just like, it's a proper relay, you know, this thing. And you get out and you get all dried. And where it becomes mentally challenging is having just got back in and done all your shivering to get you dry again. This is how you get warm in, you know, in the channel. You got all warm, got all your hat on, had some soup, and then about 2 hours later, you've got to get back in again. And that is really difficult. That is really difficult, because you've got to get undressed again, put your speedos in, it's pitch black, and you've got to dive back in again and do it again. And in between time, you're on this tiny little boat. They're you know, they probably hold about 10, 12 people. They're little boats, but they're doing this in the channel. So you're on this boat for like 3 hours waiting for your next swim. And all you want to do is puke over the side, you know, and you're in there, and you've got to put your hat and your goggles back on, then you've got to dive in the cold, you know. So mentally, I think that was worse than actually swimming a solo across the channel, you know. So when we got there, we all swam ashore, and we were all ecstatic, you know, on this relay, because we'd done it as a team, and we got there. And people were, you know, one girl was being sick non-stop over the side of the boat, and she still got in and did her swim. You know, she had no sustenance inside her, you know. So wow. The channel relay is very challenging.
And how long did that trip take?
12 hours 44. Yeah, that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got another question. Let's go to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Let's go to Sharon. Hey, Sharon.
I've never been there. Never been to Las Vegas.
I will pick you up at the airport and take you anywhere you want to go anytime.
Thank you.
So I have a funny little question. I mean, when I was a little girl, I wanted to swim the channel. My mother told me that athletes couldn't get pregnant, so I dismissed it.
Right.
And I realized
that's a good way to keep you safe, though, wasn't it? It was a good way to keep you safe.
Well, and I also realized yesterday, talking to my sister about this call, which she might even be on it, that she had been a swimmer and a racer, and she really hated it. And there was this one woman that always beat her by a minute or something, you know, like, you know, by seconds, like a fraction of a second. And when she finally beat this woman, she knew that she could quit swimming, but she was handed this little tiny medal that was signed by this woman who had swum the channel. And I think that's what planted the seed in me, because I would do anything my big sister would do. But my question, and then like I finally in my, I think 50s or 60s said, you know what, I always wanted to swim the channel. Why can't you swim the channel? Of course, everybody always laughed at me. So I did all the research, and before I even got off the internet, I was defeated. There was no way at that age. But now listening to you, I'm so inspired. I'm wondering, okay, so who's the oldest person who has swum the channel?
Yeah. Cool, cool.
And what kind of health do you really have to be in? I mean, like, what are the things that could really take you out?
Okay, yep, right. I had three little nuggets to give away, and I'll say one of them now. And one of my nuggets is I also people write this down, write this down. And one of them is never give up on your dreams. Never. Age has got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it at all. Never give up on your dreams. You know, because I mean, who'd have thought I'd have actually swam for Great Britain at age 45? Not me. I mean, they retire at 27, 28, and 45. I swam for Great Britain because I never gave up on that dream. So if you want to swim the channel, find out how to do it and go do it. Yeah. And the answer to your question, I think this is right. Last time I looked, Dr. Stanley Matthews is an American. I think just Google him. Age 70. Age 70, swam a channel. A few years back now, Dr. Stanley Matthews. And also, you never know, you know, I don't know who I'm talking to here. You never know who you're talking to. But one lady who I don't even remember ever meeting, her, and she's from Jersey, and she swam a channel about 4 or 5 years ago, and she sent me a message saying, Paul, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for inspiring me to swim the channel. You said something on Facebook about never giving up on your dreams. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to go and do it. And she swam a channel. I didn't even know she swam. I never spoken to her, but something I said there, and she went off and swam a channel, and she achieved her goal. And she was about your age, something like that. I don't know how old you are, but you know, if you want to do it, right, if you want to do it, don't let anyone get in that head of yours. You know, if you want to do it, you go do it.
Well, and that was the other question I had. It sounded like you were surrounded by people who supported you all the way. I mean, when you first had the idea, I'm going to swim the channel, you didn't have anybody saying, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't have any babies. Did you have any naysayers that you had to overcome in the beginning?
If we've got another hour, I can tell you. But yes, I did. I'm actually an independent politician. So I'm a town councillor. At that time I was a Suffolk County councillor and a St Edmunds Borough councillor, and I was deputy mayor of Bury St Edmunds at the time, and I am again now, believe it or not. But that's another one of my goals. But at the time, because I was independent, you bet I had people saying you can't do it and you won't do it all the time, bang, 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 like a woodpecker banging on your head. I tell you, they were always saying, yeah, he won't do that. And the mayor, who was a conservative politician, he actually said to me, I'll give you a pair of lead boots to swim the channel. And I thought, no, I'm going to do this. I don't care what you're saying. You know, so I had some real stuff going on outside, as you can expect from politicians, you know. So, and I just thought, no way, I don't care what you say, I'm going to swim the channel. Yeah, I'm either going to get across there or I should be dead on the beach the other side. I'm going to swim the channel. And there was one other guy who I met in November 2006, and we sat at a table to him at a Channel Swimming Association dinner, and he sat there and he just swam the channel, and he was the former British long distance swimming association open water swimming champion, and he sat there like this. He said, have you ever swam in the sea before? And I said, no. He said, you won't do it. I said, yes, I will. Like that. He said, no, you won't do it. You ain't got any idea what it's like out there. He said, you know, you'll never get it. I said, no, I will. Like that. And that guy really inspired me to swim the channel, I tell you, because he was so big-headed about it and said he was the best, you know, and he'd done everything, and swimming the channel was the final thing you ever do in your swimming career, you know. And I said, no, I'm going to do it, you know. And so again, never give up on your dreams. Don't let anyone put you off them. You know, if you want to do it, just go do it. Just go do it. Age doesn't matter. answer that.
Well, I did remember one summer when I was hiking with some group and we were going to a campsite across this huge lake. And I said, I don't want to walk all the way around there. Here, you carry my backpack and I'll swim it. And they said, you'll never swim. I swam across this lake about halfway through. It was icy, icy cold. I thought, oh, shoot, I'm really going to, couldn't turn back. I just had to keep going.
Absolutely,
and I got to the other side.
At the end of the day, it's only cold, isn't it? You know, it's only cold. Isn't it? It's only a bit of cold. You get across there. Yeah, well done getting across.
Sharon, thanks for that question. Great to have you here. Paul, again, you know, here's the thing I love about our conversation. I didn't bring up the question about, you know, were there any naysayers? I guess I assumed there were, but one of the things that champions have a tendency to do that I'm seeing, because, you know, we just spent the weekend with Les Brown and Mark Victor Hansen and Crystal Dwyer Hansen and Kevin Eastman and all of these amazing souls. And they all talk about trials, but they talk about triumphs more than they talk about trials. And I think that's important, that when you listen, as you listen to champions speak, they speak of the trials and they speak of the overcoming that they did of those trials. They talk about how they got through. But yeah, you said, like you said, you looked up at the clock, you go, well, if you got another hour, I'll tell you about all the naysayers. Mm-hmm. What was it? What do you think prepared you for that, to deal with those, other than your sheer determination and your desire to say, well, tell me I can't do it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think again, one of the quotes I had in my mind, again, someone asked earlier about swimming in the channel. One of those quotes I had in there was, again, Jim Rohn. I love Jim Rohn. The few who do are the envy of the many who only watch. And I've got that in the start of my book I'm writing on it. Yeah, the few who do are the envy of many who only watch. You know, so when people are always trying to put you down all the time, that actually fires me up. I don't know what it is. It fires me up, and I learn more, and it fires me up more by losing than it does by winning. You know, and I've stood for election as a politician. I think it's I think last time it was 14 times I stood for election, and I've lost 7 and won 7. And the reason I'm still elected is because I've lost 7. You know, I've lost just as many times as I've won. The key is don't give up, isn't it? Don't give up. You know, just because you lose an election doesn't mean nobody likes you. I mean, on one occasion I lost by 4 votes. One occasion I lost by 5 votes. You know, so it doesn't mean no one likes you. It just means 5 people didn't vote for you. You know, so never give up on those dreams. You know, people are always going to put you down, and they do put you down all the time. Like the lady who just said, you know, the mum said, "Oh, you won't get pregnant if you swim." I've never heard that before. You know, and it might be a Las Vegas thing. I don't know. No, but I mean, it's not. You just don't listen to them. You take it on board. And Larry Thompson always said, you know, stuff like that was in the Bible. It said, when Jesus sent the apostles out, he said, go and knock on every door. And he said, but not each home is going to be to your accord. And he said, when you get there, when you leave, just shake every grain of sand from underneath your shoe on there. So shake it off, because they're going to keep firing this negative stuff at you all the time. But you just need to shake it off and not take it on board, and don't let anything detract you from your goal. Yeah.
That's awesome. Paul, we've got one more question. We're going to go back to East Texas. We kind of started there. So Rhonda Bird Parker.
Hey again, Paul.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have a quick question. Well, it's kind of a 2-part question. It's the same thing though. So a lot of the times we talk to people who do these big, huge accomplishments, and it's amazing what you've overcome. And I love your mindset. I'm always the one that, you know, think less of me and I'll prove you really wrong. So all that set aside, what's the one thing or the one story that no one's ever asked you, but you would love for people to know about you? And it seems to get overlooked, and kind of the spotlight's on the English channel. What is that one thing or that one story that you would love for someone to know about you, but no one's ever asked? And would your wife and son say the same thing, or would they have a different story about you?
Okay, it's good question. Yeah. I start off my book a mile off the French coast. We've been talking about. I start off that book, and then and I've got one page. I think Sean's read that first page of my book, A Mile Off the French Coast. Then I go into a new chapter, and the new chapter. I might cry when I tell you this. It does bring tears to my eyes. My father was actually, my birth father was actually a US serviceman, and my mother was a 17-year-old Irish waitress, and I never got to meet either of them. I was put up for adoption, and so that started that story. So the first 6 months of my life was spent in a cot. I've seen photographs of a cot of a room full of babies, and my father came in and said, he's a smiley boy, we'll have that one. He said, I had a big smile on my face, and they adopted me. So therefore my mum and dad were John and Vera Hopfensperger. So that start in life was tough, and all through my life I've had people saying to me they'd heard I'd adopted, and I was told never to tell anyone by my mum and dad, and it was a real challenge, and I got called German Nazi person or something when I was at school, and I thought, I'm not, but I wasn't allowed to tell them, and that was a huge mental challenge to get through that all the way through. And Sebastian, if he's still on here, will tell you that last year I got to find my birth mother, and she was in Henry, Illinois, and I telephoned her up and spoke to her, and she was in hospital with terminal cancer. And I managed to get to see her in her coffin. I arrived in Henry, Illinois, and she was in her coffin. She died after I'd spoke to her on the phone. And so actually that was a huge thing, to actually get to meet her there. But all through my life, for some reason, that has fired me on to actually achieve, coming from being neglected, not neglected, put up for adoption. My mum and dad were the best. They were the best people. And they helped me achieve it. My birth mother was the one who told me to go swimming and to be in a swimming club. And coming through that and only getting to meet her when she was in her coffin, and my son and me, we flew to Chicago, got to Henry, Illinois, and we put her in the ground. So that's another goal achieved, I suppose, that I got to meet her. I got to see her, and I got to speak to her on the phone and all that. So that was tough. all the way through, that was tough. Yeah. But having come from that, achieving all these things, one of my things I wanted to do was walk on the Great Wall of China. I did that. Walked on the Great Wall of China. I wanted to be mayor of this town where I live. I'm currently deputy mayor, and I wanted to be a councillor. I did that, So there's all these things I've done, been driven on, I think, from pain in early youth of being called this German all the time, and I wasn't, and I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. So, yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that was fabulous. That was amazing, because that tells us where the fire comes from inside of you.
Fire in your belly.
Yeah, and there's that fire, and you can't teach that fire. No, that fire is either there or it's not. You either find it or you don't. And to find that fire, and you've replaced those feelings of abandonment with that fire. And you have searched that out, and to me that speaks so deep to me, because I have that fire inside of me, and it's hard to communicate that. But to hear you, and I'm getting emotional just thinking about your story. To hear that, to hear your story, that's where I can connect with you even more, because I was already just in awe of your determination and your mental place that you get to. Women get there in childbirth, so to speak. We have to just go to a place that you can't describe unless you've been there. And what drives us there is we produce life. What drove you there is your mom produced that life and put you on a different trajectory to have the parents that would raise you. And Paul, that's, to me, I will always see you as the young child that overcame that and went on to greatness instead of the English Channel swimmer. That will always be part of your story. But that fire in you shows me the man, the heart, the God that's in you. And I really appreciate you answering that question with so much vulnerability and truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Paul, listen, with the last name Murphy, I knew I loved you for some reason. So, but I appreciate that. And here's what I love about the way the conversations that I get to have with people. The good stuff doesn't come out till about an hour and a half past. Right. And so this was the emotional side. Yeah. I trust me. The ability to have a conversation with a 3-time channel crosser, amazing. But that story, how many of you, type in the chat, how many of you that last story, the last 20 minutes, inspired you more than the whole English Channel story? Check the chat out. So I'm not saying that the channel isn't important, but brother, that story that you just told us, that got you fired up. And here's the thing, Paul, I want you to speak to this because this is so important. People are going to hear you and they hear your glory. They see you crossing the finish line many times in your life. City council, deputy mayor, English Channel. Oh, by the way, English Channel. Oh, by the way, English Channel, right? 3 times. But that story that you just told, they see you as your champion all along. And then they hear this story of where the fire got ignited based upon the way you delivered that story. Everybody, then what happens is they feel, well, I wasn't orphaned, I wasn't adopted, I wasn't all of these things, and they feel they can't find their own fire. And what Rhonda said was, that fire's inside her. It's inside of all of us. What would you say to everybody who just heard that part and said, I'm not Paul? What's a story you've heard from Jim Rohn or Larry, or even through your own existence and talking with Sebastian or Becky, that to let everybody know that fire exists in them?
Yeah, that is a tough one because everyone's got their own reasons for doing whatever they want to do, and
now hang on there. I want to speak to you as a champion. You say the word reasons. You and I both know from the profession that we've both been in for many years, they either have a reason or a what? An
desire.
Excuse. Well, or excuse.
Oh, excuse. Sorry, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, excuse.
Right?
Yeah.
And too many people are using their excuses versus their reasons.
Yeah, very much so. I've got a very good friend, and I was just talking to my wife about this beforehand, and she's in a real bad place at the moment, and I keep trying to help her, but she likes the fact that she can't do this because of that, and she can't do this because of that. And I think I mentioned it earlier. You need to start from wherever you are. It doesn't matter that I was adopted as such. It doesn't matter. It's all about your desire to want to do whatever you want to do, and whatever those goals are. You can only start where you are. I don't know exactly where this fire in my belly first came from, but I just remember it starting on that one whip freestyle when I lost. So whether that relates to being adopted or not, I don't know. I just remember wanting to win that trophy, and I came last. And I think it was actually coming last. It was the failure which ignited the flame to make me want to achieve. It was the failure. And so I think I always forget Michael Jordan's exact quote, isn't it? But he said something like, the reason he's been so successful is because he's failed so many times over and over and over again. Whatever the exact quote is, I always forget that quote. But that is the fire that anyone can use. Just because you don't win something, or you think you can't do something, you have these limiting beliefs in your mind which says you can't do it. Just because that's there doesn't mean you can't do it. You just have to change that. You just have to change it. And the key to that, which was another one of my throwaways, was something Carl Wilson said to us on Saturday. And what he said was, get around people who've done it. He said, they will give you the tweak you never even knew you needed. I mean, that really struck a chord in me on Saturday. So get around people who've done it. They will give you the tweak you never even knew you needed. You know, so that's what I've always done. You know, when I coming last in a swimming race, I got around the people I needed to get around to help me win when I was 10. And when I won that one, I then got around the people I needed to get around to actually become Suffolk champion, county record holder, and all that. Yeah, all the way through my life, I've got around people who can help it. And you know, here we are today. I'm actually honoured that Sean's asked me to be on this, because whenever we go in these inner circle groups with Kyle, Sean's always there in the background, and I'm just fired up listening to Sean all the time, you know, so I find it great, you know, so get around those people and have a burning desire in your belly to achieve, you know, whatever it is, you know, business, sport, have that burning desire.
Well, Paul, I'm so honored. I don't know if you realize we've been now 2 hours.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, no, you said an hour.
Yeah, and so, but if you're okay with that, I'd like to ask you just one more question.
Yeah.
But listen, folks, please take a picture with Paul. I'm going to pin him to the front screen. Please take a picture with him. Right, get yourself in the background. Do another post. Type some. Let me spotlight the video so you're there. So put him on the main screen. Put him on the speaker screen. Get a picture with him. Hashtag Hoffy, Hoffy. Get on his email list. Go just Google him. Go post him out. Tell what's 3 points that you got. What'd you learn? What'd you like from him? Because here's what Paul, I'm gonna ask you, and you can't say no when you're on screen. Can we invite you back another time?
Absolutely, yeah. Be an absolute honor.
Okay,
again.
good. So we got that on record. So Becky, you heard that too, and Sebastian. So so Paul, here's the question. Here's the question I want to ask you. If not now, when? If not you, then who? What's next?
What's next? I'm actually, the next thing I want to tick off a few more. What I'm doing, this is the prototype, if you like, of my book. It's called I'm trying to finish this book. It's called Beyond the Black Line: The Journey to France, and that's me there, and there's a big tanker in the background there. And this one was Felixstowe on December 26th, 2006. That was the 5-degree water in there, and this was in the Channel. So I'm writing this book on there. And it's important to document everything. I think to actually these small steps to achieve the goals. I've already achieved another one. Can I tell you about my giveaway?
Yes, please, absolutely. Let's do it. Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, this is another one. My best swimming buddy, we were very competitive together. We were always, he'd win one, I'd win one, he'd win two, I'd win three, and very, very competitive. And we decided to form a band, you know, so I was 16, he was 13. We decided to form a band because I've always been into my music. And in 1982, we recorded 4 songs and always wanted to actually turn it into a vinyl record. And 2 years ago, I did that, and here it is. Here it is. So it's called. We were called the Teasers with a Z, Teazer, Teasers. It's called Teenage Angst, and that's me there. That was our drummer, and that's the bass player.
Now wait a second. Hold that up. Let's get some pictures with this. Again, folks, I'm going to ask you all. Go ahead and take a picture. Take a picture.
Yeah.
Hashtag that out, right? Hashtag the Teasers, Teenage Angst. Hashtag those out. Put those out.
Yeah.
And you know, we're helping somebody with their dream. And so when you want to say, I was a part of history, today's a part of history.
Yeah.
And so I really want us to just, whatever it is, to promote it out, get your friends to share it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, if you wanted to buy one of these, they're at theteasers.com. And I normally sign a message across here. But what I'd like to do today, because I haven't finished my swimming book, is if you sign up to my mailing list, or just send me an email saying to mail at paulhopfensperger.com, and I'll try and randomly pick from anyone on there. I'll randomly pick. So I'll sign a message on here to you. So I've got one of these. I'll sign a message to you on here, and on the back, that's us. That was us live back in the day. And inside we have there's a sleeve telling you about.
Check it out.
the band like inside.
So cool.
Yeah, so that's on there. So I don't mind where it is in the world. I'll ship one of these to you in the world just for coming on my mailing list. But you'll also get a digital download, and it may not be the music you like now. And in fact, when I listen to it now, I think it's a bit dated, you know. But it was a goal to do this, you know. But you know,
Paul, were you that young when you did it? Yes.
Yeah. Here I was 19. He was 19. He was 17. He was 16. Yeah, when I did this. But I only put all this together and did it 2 years ago. So it's been out for 2 years. And when we sell these, we put 25% of these go to St. Nicholas Hospice, which is a local hospice in Paris again. So it's raising money for charity. But I will give you, I'll send you one of these to wherever it is in the world you want it to. I'll sign it. And I'll do the second one. I'll email you the 4 digital songs so you can put them on Apple, iTunes, or whatever on there, you know. So there's four songs on there. One's called The System, which is about Ronald Reagan, and Shape of Things to Come was about Ronald Reagan and putting his finger on the bomb at the time. Alison was my girlfriend at the time, and Dreaming of You was another. So two love songs, two angry songs at the time.
You covered the gambit.
So that's So if you just send me an email and I can put you on my mailing list, so mail@hopfensperger.com, and I'll print them all out. I'll stick them on a desk, and then just shut my eyes and get someone to pull one out. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, I appreciate you. We're right at 2 hours. You have been this champion. You have been this. I want to really thank you for giving us your time. And again, folks, the way you say thank you is you may put Paul in touch with somebody that inspires them to swim the channel or to swim their own channel of their life, that they want to step out on France and raise their hand and say, I did it. So, Paul, any last words before we let you go for the day and let you back to Becky?
No, I think the very, very last thing, the very first person to swim the English Channel was Captain Matthew Webb on the 24th of August, 1875. So on his memorial, it says, and these are fabulous words, write these down, nothing great is easy. Nothing great is easy. Simple words on his memorial. Nothing great is easy. So whatever you want to achieve in life, it's not going to be easy, but you can do it if you just put your mind to it. Nothing great is easy.
Well, folks, here's what I know. We just had a little bit of history. We spoke with a 3-time crosser, 2 solo, 1 with a relay, the English Channel. This is what happens when you hang out with some pretty amazing people. I get to hang out with some pretty amazing people. I get to call friends. Paul, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'm going to ask everybody to unmute and just say, hey, thanks, Paul. So everybody go ahead and unmute.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much.
Paul, appreciate you. Thank you for sharing yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul.
Thank
you. Thank you, Paul, for the inspiration.
You are inspiration.
Well, there you
You're
go, Paul.
awesome. I love your laugh.
I appreciate you, brother. And from all of us here at the Misfits, we call ourselves kind of the morning misfits, the daily awakening misfits. We don't quite fit together out there, but together here, we all seem to fit together, our pieces and brokenness, and together we become whole. So thanks for being a part of the Misfit family. I'm Sean Murphy, along with Paul Hopfensperger. We'll see y'all where?
At the next
event.
Love you.
Love you guys. Have an amazing day.
Love you.
Have a great day. Have an awesome day.
Love y'all.
Hasta
Have a
mañana.
great day.
Thank you all.
Love y'all. Thank you, Paul.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Sean.
You bet. Thanks, Paul.